Hey to everybody, we are here. We are with Godzilla, the one of the strongest side pressure of the world, and the man who make a history in arm wrestling, and the man like who was the goal for Eastern arm wrestlers. They always want to catch him, and maybe only now they touch a little bit this high of the top, but I'm not sure absolutely that it's like already done. And thank you so much, first of all, for being here and to be a part of this small funny thing which we'll do today. And the first question, actually, how becomes the name Godzilla? Where it's get this nickname?
All right. Well, first, thank you for having me on. Second, thank you for that intro. So when I die, I want you to speak at my funeral, okay? Because there'll be a lot of people there saying bad shit. So I want you to speak third, okay? I'll have 3 or 4 ex-girlfriends just ragging the hell out of me. Then you come up and talk, and then it'll be a happy funeral. I made up the name Todzilla because I was afraid somebody was going to give me a bad one. So my kids were playing a video game back in 2000, and one of the video games they were playing was Godzilla, King of Monsters. So I took the name Todzilla. I copied when Godzilla would win a battle, he would do this. So I copied that.
I remember this game.
Together. I copied that. I just copied everything from a video game.
Oh yeah, I remember that game actually. Yes, absolutely true. And the thing, like I said, because you're in arm wrestling probably all from early beginning. Actually, how long you like pulling, and when was the first time you go to the competition, like some official or even not official competition?
My first tournament was in 2000, and I was 35 years old. So
2000. So more than 20 years. More than 20 years in this. Yeah.
Yeah, Americans have a long career in arm wrestling. We tend to stay around for a while.
Yeah. Actually, it's absolutely true. Like I remember that like States, it's always guys who pull in like 10 years, 20 years, and even 30 years. Eastern part of the world, previously it was like guy go to the top, like couple years and go somewhere. Yeah. So maybe
for a while there, you'd get some superhero, he would blast to the top, and then he'd disappear, So after like 4 years, you couldn't find him anymore.
It's true. Yeah.
Meanwhile, people like Ron Bath and John Brzenk, they got frequent flyer miles because they've attended all the tournaments.
Yeah. Tell me something about your upcoming match, about your opponent, and do you pull before with him, or it will be your first time or not? How you feel?
Nope, his name's Curtis Pork Chop Cameron. We pulled earlier this year in Toronto. I'd have to look up the date again. And I just think I caught him by surprise. A lot of people, when they pull me for the first time, my style's a little unorthodox. They're not ready for it. So he'll now that he knows what to expect, he'll be a little more prepared. I think he just flat underestimated me the first time. He's heavier than I am, but he's shorter than I am. His hand's a little bit smaller than mine, so that's a nice change of pace. It gets tiring when everybody's hand just swallows yours up. But I think it was, I'm trying to think of when I pulled him last. It was like 4 or 5 months ago.
I see. So you always won with him, never like he won with you before. Never happened before, yeah?
No, he didn't beat me. I won every match. One might have been controversial. There was a slip out and a foul, but you can't always count the reffing and stuff. But I mean, I never got pinned. So
I see. And what do you think about the match? Because like yesterday we speak with Matt, and he said that he's extra motivated to crush Krazy and want to won him like 6-0. And he looks like confident, and he like feel like he's confident. What do you think about this match? What is your prediction? How it will be?
I've got to be the favorite. I'm pretty sure I'm like the overwhelming favorite on it. I'm fairly confident I'll win all of them, but you know, I mean, you know this, when you start pulling people at the top of their game, it takes a time or two to figure something out. Now, he might have learned something. Like if he shows up, this guy Pork Chop, I'm pretty sure he's hooked every single match in his entire life. If he shows up next weekend, you know, and starts top rolling like crazy, then all bets are off. Okay, it's just gonna get ugly. But if he stays true to form, we'll just figure out. It'll all be based on just who's the strongest guy. So we'll see, you know, if his training's on par with mine. Sorry about that.
Oh, it looks like you go somewhere. It's
I'm sitting in my truck, so my phone's wedged in my steering wheel, and every once in a while it just falls out. Okay.
But tell me, what do you think about the match between Matt and Krazy? Do you put like Matt like a favorite or Krazy like favorite? How you feel? What we can expect from that match?
That's an interesting match because Matt's really, really good at his game and Krazy's really, really good at his. If Matt sticks to his game and hits that high outside top roll outside of the straps, if Matt stays out of the straps, I think he's a very, very strong favorite. If Krazy gets him into the straps and doesn't cross center, I think Krazy could stop that match. I think Matt's going to win the start every single time. So I think Krazy's fighting from a losing position every match. But if Krazy puts him into the straps and can keep his knuckles up or pronate his palm towards Matt's face, I think he can stop that match. And then we'll find out, you know, if Matt's elbow is as good as Krazy's elbow. But it all really depends on if Krazy pulls Matt like he pulled Irakli, Matt's going to clean the floor with him. If Krazy pulls Matt like I pulled Irakli, Krazy's going to have a very good day. So it'll really be interesting to see which strategy both people appeared. Now then again, if Matt shows up and freaks everybody out and goes deep inside, that might be something we're seeing, you know. So if Matt's up 3-0 or something, I'd like to see Matt just dump, because I don't think I've ever seen Matt in a hook, you know?
Yeah, I think it's not his favorite style. And I have a weird question for you, because like also your visit card, it's a rubbing hand after you won with the match. And, you know, I want to ask you, do you remember how many times it was in like during last time, how many times you rubbed the head of your opponent?
I rubbed.
How many heads was rubbed?
Oh, I would have to go back. So Lachlan, and then Irakli, Jordan Zonev. I beat Chance, but I let Chance rub my head because I didn't know how that was gonna go. I'm trying to think. I rubbed Fareed's head a long time ago. You know? Yeah, I think about 4 this year, I think is what it's been.
Yeah, it's actually for 1 year, it's a very good result. And if you like count all of them, I don't know, it will be 100 head or something. Like you are kind of hand hunter, you know, Cherokee type, you know.
Yeah. I'd have to go back and look because I've done it like in local tour, like to people who nobody knows before, but to do it to somebody famous, and you never know how they're going to react. Sometimes you reach, you know, I mean, especially if you're still strapped to them, you know, you got to be careful. You know?
I remember the situation when Prudnik rubbing the Matt head after, and in the eyes of Matt was like, I remember the commentation of Derek Smith. He says, "Don't do this, Matt, don't do this." Something like that.
Yeah, that would have been something, that would have been a little risky. I don't know if I would have done that. You know, usually you can tell, you know, if they're friendly towards it or something, but I'm not so threatening as most people are. So I don't typically, you know, intimidate too many people.
Yeah. And tell me something about your last match with Prudnik. Of course, it may be results not like you expected, but did you was like in the same shape like before? It was maybe not your best shape, or just Prudnik was too strong? How it was?
Yeah, I felt good. I wasn't I felt good. I knew I had to stop the match. The only thing I was concentrating on was stopping the match. What I really underestimated just how good his hand was. Prudnik's hands, one of the best hands I think I've ever felt. I think Prudnik's hands probably better than John's right now, and John's is the standard that you judge other people's by. Irakli's hand is no doubt a world level elite hand, and I think Prudnik would just control his hand, you know. I'm trying to think of somebody who is even close to that. It was amazing. I was just trying to, I didn't mind if my wrist went back. I just wanted to keep my knuckles up. Mm-hmm. And he had enough of my hand. He didn't just grab my hand, he also controlled my wrist and was able to roll my whole arm over, you know. And that happens a lot when people are a lot bigger than me, when their hands are just so much bigger that I can't. So usually somebody's my size, they can only get a hold of my hand and I can control the arm. But Prudnik's hand, it was I mean, I don't know, between Prudnik and Devin at this point, man, I think those two are pretty equally matched. I mean, Prudnik gets a lot of love for being the best pound for pound sort of guy, but I mean, I think Prudnik's like a world level super heavyweight type puller, man. I mean, I think he is definitely he was a way better man than me that day. I mean, that's a fact.
Yeah, he was really good. So did you think that he's comparable, for example, for John when John was on the prime? Because you know that level, or actually John was better, or he's comparable?
I'm comparing him to the John of I met John in 2010. I pulled him a year or two before that, but I actually started training with John in 2010. So I'm not talking about the John who was going around and devastating the world, but I'm talking about the John from the UAL, the Zloty Tour type level John, you know, and his hand was still really, really good then, or as good. I mean, I never met the earlier John. So yeah, Prudnik's hand that I felt a lot like the hand when John was in 2010, you know, before his time off.
I see. And now he will be pulled with Michael, and you already pulled with Michael. So what is your prediction about that match? Like how you see it?
Yeah, I don't know if I can make a prediction, but I think Michael Todd's the underdog in that match. I think yeah, and I'd heard Prudnik was a little uncertain about taking that match, but I think Prudnik has all the advantage. I think it's Prudnik's match to lose. I think Michael's recent matches and Prudnik has access to. I don't think Prudnik's worried about the King's move, or I think Prudnik can handle the King's move easily enough. Michael's press won't be as effective on Prudnik as it was me because of the height difference. And John and Devin do really well against Michael by fighting through their own hand. Mm-hmm. You know, when Devin got really big, he beat Michael through his own hand. And that's how John was beating a bigger Michael. So, I mean, at this point, I mean, Michael can win. There's always surprising stuff, you know. I think things happen, but yeah, I think right now Michael's got a higher mountain to climb than Prudnik does.
I see. And about last matches in the East or the West, was a couple of unpredictable results. It was cool. It was like very, very cool show to watch these matches. And for you, match between Dave and Artem. Did you feel before that Artem can do something like this, or it was unexpected for you?
I had Dave as a clear favorite, and now I'm wondering just how good Artem is. I mean, I think Artem's got all kinds of upward potential. What I saw Artem do was some of the most amazing arm wrestling I've seen in probably 5 or 6 years. So yeah, Artem is that was impressive. To watch that, because I've pulled Dave. I'm pretty familiar with what Dave can do. And Artem is very impressive. Yeah, he's definitely got a bright and shining future in front of him.
And what do you think? Because previously it was the match between Prudnik and Artem, and as I remember, Prudnik was like controlled pretty much easy that day. So
Yeah.
like if it was a progress of Artem from that time, or maybe just Prudnik is so good. What do you think?
I've contemplated that too. I think Artem has gotten a lot better through the East versus West tournaments, and I think Prudnik's gotten a little better. So I think Artem and Prudnik now would be closer than it was before, because once again, for Artem, pulling people at an elite level like Prudnik, it sometimes takes a couple of tries to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And I think Artem pulling Prudnik and losing inspired Artem to like change something or come in with a different mindset or something, because I think when Artem grabs somebody that doesn't feel like Prudnik, I think his confidence shoots up. You know, it's like, oh, I've been here before now, you know. So it's like fighting Mike Tyson and then going out and fighting Cicely Tyson. You go, oh, I've got this. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that day he actually, like, I mean, Artem also pulled with Cody, and now like we have some level between about left hand. So Cody was like one of the strongest, maybe strongest guys in the North America. Actually, tell me, you know, your opinion. Who's like the top 3 lefty strongest guys in North America?
It would be Cody, Devin, and I'm trying to think of who else I would throw up there. Cody and Devin for sure. Michael Todd's developing a left, but I don't think it would be him. I think it would be, I'm trying to think of who else would be. Devin and Cody are so far above everybody else that the third guy probably doesn't matter as much. I mean, we got a lot of other big guys.
I see.
But they don't travel outside this, you know, the states that much. So it's really hard to judge them, you know. I mean, at one time I'd say Travis, but Travis has been out for a while. I mean, at one time Travis was the man, but he's not. I don't even think Travis is like in our top 3 right now. You know, he's had so much time off. Yeah, we got a couple of other. There's probably 15 guys tied for 3rd place. You know, Devin and Cody are definitely 1 and 2, and then for 3rd place there might be 7 to 15 guys that are all very close.
Yeah, I see. And if I already asked you about rankings, so if we will speak about North America, like now we have the official result of the match when Jerry beat Gennady. Gennady previously beat Dave, and now in official score, Jerry is very high. And if I ask you about ranking in North America, top 3 or top 5, who will be?
Top 3 North America, I would say Devin and Jerry, and then followed up with somewhere Chaffee and Michael Todd are probably still up there too. Devin's clearly number 1. So our top tier guy in North America would be Devin. And then slightly below that, I think would be, you know, Jerry, Michael Todd, Dave Chaffee. They probably swap, you know, at any given day. John Brzenk can probably beat 2 or 3 of those guys every single time. We got some lesser known guys. We got like a Wayne Withers and a Paul Passamore and this big fella out of Florida. But you know, they're at tiers. I can't hardly rank them in order 1 through 10, but I can separate them by tiers.
Yeah, I understand you clearly. And
Devin is far and above our best right-handed arm wrestler in North America.
And if you will be pulling next match after this, you will like after nearest, who you wants to pull? Like, do you feel that like someone who wants to pull now for after this, after top 5 in Canada?
Yeah, well, in January I pulled Kurgali Angarbayev in Istanbul. So That's the only guy I want to pull down. As a matter of fact, when I'm done in Toronto, I'm taking like a week off and doing nothing. And then I'm taking every minute from that moment to January and focusing on just beating one guy from Kazakhstan. So,
Yeah, it's actually like if you take the one from that, you come back the one to the States, you know, because he already take it from the John. It was little bit, I think it's a little bit sad for everyone to watch like when John is lose, because like, you know, John is something special for everyone. He like inspired so many people, and he like our hero, and no one wants John to lose. Yeah, and it was hard day. Of course, he really deserved that match, that won, because he shown the power and the level of techniques. I think the techniques it was like the main thing which helps him to win. But John is John. John is a legend.
Yep.
Okay, Isa, I see you sleep a little bit, and maybe you want to ask something, so I can word for you.
Absolutely. So we have a couple super chats. The first one is from Rugby Beast Gaming. He's asking, "Hi, Alex and Todd. Can I ask you your max bicep PRs?"
Yes, but which, like double biceps or hammer biceps or usual biceps?
These are very tricky questions. I would say just give some PRs in your bicep.
Okay, so for me, I like to do 10 reps. And if it's double for hammer, I do 100 kilos for 10 reps. It's something like which helps me to check I'm already good or I need to work more. With one hand, it's probably 82. It's more even maybe static and work with shoulder, not like just goes not full amplitude, never, because we don't pull kings move a lot, and I don't use full amplitude. That's why. And this is maybe my favorite, and I don't do like this sitting curls, which are very popular now, but probably 130 for 4 or 5 reps was like something for me.
Wow, that's impressive.
Honestly, not. Guys do much more. I know that guys do much more.
Levan Max is like 130 for 140 for 1.
No,
yeah.
I mean not clear like this, but with this he did like 10 times. I remember.
Wow, that's impressive though. That's a lot of weight.
It's actually how you do it. You can do only like this, clear, or like with your chest and with your shoulders.
Mm.
So something like this.
And how about you, Todd?
Oh man, you can't make me follow that. What the hell? My max biceps is actually on my channel. A week or two ago, before the Irakli match, Irakli posted like a 200 kilogram strict curl. So I tried to see what I could do. Not a 100 kilogram, 220 some pounds. I did 150 pounds, which is like 68 or 70 kilos once, and that's my max two-handed bicep curl. You know. And it's out there. I mean, it's a short video, but yeah, that's that's all I can do.
But I think it's the answer for if we don't use it, like especially in the technique. So it means that it don't the answer like to compare everyone, because for somebody who use top row, yeah, in the like hammer, it's very important. But for some guys who pull like side pressure, side pressure is important. Don't hammer biceps curl or something. So
I never came out of a match or a tournament with my biceps sore. You know, my shoulders are sore, my forearms, my hands, but my biceps and triceps never come out of a match tired or sore. It's always something else. So
yeah.
Then we have another super chat from the HF Razor, who is saying there should be some lifts, arm wrestling lift, like powerlifting style, so we can see who's the best and strongest in, for example, side pressure, back pressure, etc., etc. Love you, Todd. Keep rubbing heads. So there's HF Razor. So now let's start with some questions I have for Todd Hutchings, because you're a very interesting arm wrestler, because you're different from a lot of the other guys who started very young. You quite started at the advanced age, like 30 in your 30s, and you got very good very fast. Just want to ask you, how was your experience from starting in your mid-30s going till now? Like it's certainly different from somebody who started in his 20s, maybe even earlier. So how was your experience? Because I can imagine recovery might be different. Like you had to learn everything from scratch. So yeah.
Yeah, it was. I got really lucky a few times. I got into a really good arm wrestling team early. Then of course I met John early, and I got into a really good powerlifting gym. So back when I got started, everybody was training the same way. They were doing thousands of wrist curls, thousands of bicep curls, you know.
Mm.
And I had to sit there and go, so I was listening to all these really good arm wrestlers, and they told me how they were training. And then it took them like 5 to 10 years to get good. I didn't have 5 to 10 years. You know, I'm not, if you have a 10-year head start on me, I am not going to catch up to you doing what you're doing, right? I will always be 10 years behind. So I met a powerlifting coach who gave me some insight on how to actually measure strength and actually develop real strength. So then, and what I took away from that, it was a way to sort out whether or not if you're wasting your time doing certain things, because you should only be doing stuff that actually helps. So that got me started on a mindset of tracking PRs and then paying attention to, you know, like when I lost, what muscles let loose, what muscles I needed to develop. So I was able to develop, I was able to develop national and ultimately world level strength in a short period, but only because I had some of the best arm wrestlers in North America helping me, and I had a world level power lifter where we could sit and talk theories and strategies and stuff like that. Because the power lifters, you know, there's several like defined strength programs for powerlifting as far as sets, reps, bands, change. There was nothing like that for arm wrestling. So I would say, okay, well, you're doing 6 sets of 3 bench pressing. Well, I'm doing arms. Arms are a lot smaller. More volume, right? So that's how we settle on 6 sets of 6, for instance, for speed day instead of 6 singles or 6 triples. So it's not all boiled down to an actual proven system yet, but I do think I saved myself a lot of time, you know, instead of working stuff that everybody was working that I didn't need. So, you know, I caught a couple of breaks along the way and things just worked out.
Yeah. And I know, like Alex, I don't know if you know, but Todd Hutchings is really like a scientist of training methods. There is a lot of videos on YouTube of him like explaining things, especially for the like JM presses for pain in the elbows and everything. And it's so interesting to me because I'm also a powerlifter and I know very well, correct me if I'm wrong, it was Louis Simmons, the guy who you got in contact with. I know he's a very good guy, rest in peace. His soul, he was a good man. And it was so interesting because you said that you just called him one time, he picked up the phone and you talked for hours. And that's why you also like to give this information for free to the newcomers in the sport. Could you go briefly a little bit more like specific in your training methods? Like, are you actually training Westside applied to arm wrestling?
Yes, I've applied Westside as purely as I could to arm wrestling. So I follow his speed day and his max day protocols. I have a volume day, which I bring in and out depending on what weight class I am. I do Louis Simmons's style on both plyometrics and isometrics in the evenings as short term, you know, to spike things up. I cycle in and out of work capacity and general physical preparedness. But the Westside barbell system is so specialized and key, you know, towards powerlifting. I don't pretend to understand all of that, but as far as I know, I am honest and true to the overall structure of what he does. And yeah, I called him up and he talked to me, and his wife talked to me and answered my emails, and that touched me. So whenever people reach out to me, you know, I read all my emails. I answer them when I get to them. I'm falling a little bit behind. I get about half a dozen or so requests a year for people to pay me to coach them.
Yeah.
And I always refuse. I said, look, I don't, I could coach you if you were here, but I don't think I would feel right taking your money if you're out there, because I don't think I could guarantee the results. But I'll answer every single question you have, and I'll be completely honest on how I train. And if you want to develop a training program, I will work with you, and we can, you know, I will coach you for nothing. That way you get your money's worth, you know? So.
Yeah, yeah, it's a nice thing. I see that you also share a lot of your knowledge on the YouTube, and especially it's very helpful because for me, I had like pain in my elbows when I arm wrestling, and when I do these JM presses and actually periodize them and get stronger, I have to admit I don't have the elbow pain anymore. So some of the things work. So if guys, you should look into his channel. There are like really golden nuggets on it.
It's life changing. Those JM presses are life changing for arm wrestlers, man.
It's crazy, really crazy. So thank you so much for those golden nuggets. Let's go a little bit more philosophical. I would like to ask you, what was your proudest victory, or maybe even a match, like maybe you lost but was like very special to you?
The first, there's three. I beat Cleve Dean, who's a legend in arm wrestling, within my first 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I beat John Brzenk in about my first 6 or 7 years. Once I beat him once, then I haven't beaten him since then. So those were like epiphany moments that, hey, what I'm doing is kind of working. This thing's kind of coming together. But to be honest, the match I was most worried about, because I was kind of older, was my match with Matt Mask. Because Matt Mask is tailor-made to beat me. He's tall, he's fast, he hits outside. And when I was able to stop that matches, I go, hey man, I'm like, onto something. This whole super heavyweight thing might be all right, you know, because that was my first, because I was developed for years. I struggled with top rollers because I don't have a big hand, I don't have a strong hand, and that was where, you know, you always have ideas and things you want to try, and every once in a while something works, and you go, you know what? There's something here I can now work with to move forward on. So that was one of my prouder ones, other than the famous people. I mean, obviously, when you beat somebody super famous, you're happy.
Absolutely. And was the time you beat John Brzenk where you had the sexy mustache on?
Yeah.
Epic footage on it. But interesting that you beat with Cleve Dean. It's, I mean, he's like, his hand must be like your torso. It's like something nuts. It's so big.
It was huge. I got his signature on a school notebook, and his hand covers the entire piece of paper. He traced his hand out, and it covers an entire piece of paper in a school notebook. So his hand was over 8.5 inches wide and over 11 inches tall.
Wow, that is impressive.
And fat. I mean, every part, every thumb and finger and palm was thick and big. Yeah.
Is it true that he had like 11, 12-inch wrist?
He was, everything about him was, I mean, now you got to understand, back then, a 300-pound arm wrestler was fairly rare. So a 500-pound dude towered over people. But now we have lots of 400-pound arm wrestlers, you know. But yeah, back in the day, relatively speaking, super heavyweight started in like the 230, 240-pound range. There just wasn't that many 300-pound men back then, you know, arm wrestling. So he, I mean, he's big. He's big in his own right, but he looked bigger compared to everybody else at the time.
Yeah, I can understand. And by any chance, do you have some crazy stories about him? Because like Michael Todd shares some stories about Cleve Dean, so interesting, like the special stories where he would like amazing feats of strength, or maybe like that he was sitting on a fridge one night and like he ate everything when he was like hosted by Ron Bath or something, like those funny stories.
I don't have that because Cleve Dean was getting close to the end when I started, but he was on a TV show in America. We had a TV show called Real People, and they covered Cleve Dean, and they showed him walking around. He had a live pig under each hand, and he was walking around with it. And I think he was on, I think I saw a clip with him on like World's Strongest Man or something, doing some like tug of war or something like that. Cleve Dean was famous in America outside of arm wrestling just because of how big he was and the stuff he did.
Yeah, I think
I only met him the one time.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, I think I've seen him like bending bars and stuff, on his head. So Alex, we have a super chat for you. It's from Rugby Beast Gaming is asking, Alex, will you fight Vitaly Larratt in King of the Table 6?
So guys, you know that we actually set our match before, and after that it was cancelled. Probably everyone's now know why. It was the reasons. It was not depends from me or from Vitaly. And if that reasons will change in the future, which I really hope, so we will definitely pull and right-handed and left-handed. But for today, it's we have some difficulties to pull whenever the place or the date. It should be something changed. So we need to wait, guys. We really want to pull, but we need to wait, guys. Thank you for the question, and of course, like Vitaly and Dima Silayev and Dima Trubin, this is the guys who actually very strong. We know each other like by all the time when we pull on the international arena. Also Denis Siplenko, but for nowadays we have the troubles to pull each other. And honestly, we are with official position of our government, and our government is against it. So like something needs to change, and after we will come back to pull and use all possibilities to pull, because of course we will.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So Todd, my next question would be, what is your experience, mainly rule-wise, pulling in WAL and pulling, like, for example, in East versus West in Europe?
In my opinion, I like the WAL starts better than any format I've ever pulled. The running fouls versus calling fouls, the theory behind a running foul, I like. The problem is they're not implemented correctly. There'll be a running foul, but the arm wrestlers won't know. You know, too often if there's a running foul going, I need to know. I need to know if I can give up or if I have to win this match. You know, the people watching at home know there's a running foul. The two people on the table don't, and they're the only ones who need to know.
Because they want you to continue to pull. I remember the match with Corey West and John, when they pull, and after that they just stop and Corey asks something to judge. It was full, yeah. So I'm loose, yeah. You are loose, like something like this happens. It was a little bit crazy, yeah.
Yeah. There's got to be a way of communicating the running. If you're not going to communicate the running fouls to the competitors immediately or instantaneously, then I would prefer you just stop the match. There's this tendency nowadays to keep changing the rules and the equipment, thinking you're making it better for the audience. But what I see a lot of times is the refs get a little confused, and then we still have more controversy about what's going on. But I like the WAL method of the first year the WAL starts, I thought was the best. They eventually gravitated towards kind of what everybody's doing now. Other than that, the other rules aren't so bad. Those watching elbow fouls with cameras it's strict and it's fair, but boy, is it hard to control, man, especially when those pads are rock hard, man.
I have some not usual questions. If you can answer it, it's okay. If not, it's also okay. In which tournament or which event you won the biggest prize? I don't know, the biggest prize or money prize. Of course, if you can say it, if it's open information.
I'll tell you. The first year of the WAL, I won the right hand and left-handed match, and I won $25,000 each. So wow. I won $50,000 that day. I also won a UAL tournament, and I won something else. I won $40,000 at WAL because it was 20 each. That year I won over $50,000 because I won a UAL tournament as well. But that's the biggest tournament I've ever won, was that 2014 WAL. The money went down. Well, whenever a new league starts out, the money's huge. Then the money slowly starts decreasing. And then poof, the league's gone. So whenever there's a new arm wrestling league, everybody out there, if a new arm wrestling league starts up, enter it and go win, because it won't be around forever. You know?
But it was like a final, or you just go one day, you won, and that's it. How it was in WAL?
It was a series of tournaments that culminated in a championship in New Orleans. And it was the first year. Then I think after that, it went to $10,000 an arm. And then that was back when it was tournaments. And then the WAL turned into super matches. And when the WAL was doing super matches, I wasn't making as much money as I was that first year, but I was making close. I mean, the WLs paid me more than any other organization did. So I think I was still winning. I'd have to go back and look, but I was still making over $10,000 to $14,000 a year arm wrestling in the WAL. Even if I was losing a few matches, I was still making decent money. So it was it was lucrative, and I got lucky getting into it when I did. So.
And like, how many matches you have in WAL during the year? How many times you go to event?
When they were tournaments, it would be 2 or 3 tournaments a year. So then you'd have, a tournament, you're going to have 6 or 7 matches. When we went to super matches, I think I was getting 4 or 5 super matches a year. And they paid less than the tournaments, but I got money. I got guaranteed money to show up, and so on and so forth. So, I absolutely love the WAL. Some people complain about contracts and exclusivity. I told the WAL, man, I will sign a 15-year contract. Okay? You and I have no problems. Okay, I will get a WAL tattoo if that's what it takes, man. I love that league.
And did they come back now? Do you hear something that they come back or not? Or they have a break?
I haven't heard anything from the WAL in over a year. Other people have mentioned that they've heard stuff, but I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what other people said because I don't know. But I myself haven't heard anything from the WAL. There's always rumors and stuff floating around that some big TV show or movie's coming out. But there's nothing I can confirm.
I see.
And I also like your transparency, Todd, because you always said, I don't arm wrestle for legacy. I don't arm wrestle for anything. I arm wrestle for money. That's what I do. This is my rate. If you call me, this is how much, I will come. That's it. Really straightforward. So it's good.
The promoters love that. The promoters love it because they say, well, you have a match such. I go, yeah, this much. They go, okay. And then I will find out who my opponent is 2 months later.
Yeah, because you have all the tariffs. So 1 hour drive this, 2 hour drive this, out of time, nationally this. So it's perfect for the promoters. I would ask you, who was the strongest arm wrestler you ever faced? Absolute unit.
Okay, it was. Those are kind of different answers. Andre Pushkar was the absolutely most powerful person I've ever felt. Just that crushing, blasting power. Denis Semplinkov was probably the strongest. He didn't smash into you like Pushkar did. He kind of started slower, but he was something where I got the one time I arm wrestled him, I got in a really good position and he just went completely through me. Where Pushkar, he just smashed into you like a hammer on glass. And, Semplinkov just pulled you like the Budweiser Clydesdales hooking the chain to you. He just drug you over the table. So those are two different styles, but absolutely I came home from that inspired by just how strong somebody could get. And I go, holy shit, man, there's a lot of potential here. You know?
We have another super chat from Rugby Beast Gaming. He's asking again, Alex. Hey, Alex, how many languages can you speak? Because this guy speaks so many languages. It's insane. Every day he speaks new language.
Fluently 4, and of course, like little bit couple languages more. But like I would say that Ukrainian, Polish, Russian, and a little bit English, and a couple more. But it's not so like 4 of this.
Yes, and you know also Italian now, Vecchio. Come on, you
also... little bit.
Okay, so I want to ask. I have to ask this. So you pulled with Devin a few months ago, and nobody ever released the footage. Like there is myths and legends going on Reddit, and like what happened. What happened on that day? Was Devin that strong?
He, me and Devin don't agree on training, but I spent a lot of time that weekend talking to Devin about his training, and I'm telling you, he inspired me to I think Devin's training's public. I didn't want to let it out before the Levon match, but I don't think I'm disclosing anything, but Devin adopted a philosophy where he was going to specifically train for just one guy, and I really liked that. The way he approached it, I think I would have done it differently, but he also adopted a short rep method. Anyways, that's not your question. I'm just saying I want to give Devin a lot of love on that. Me and Devin did pull, but I told him, and we agreed ahead of time, I didn't want any video footage out there or not, because Devin is a potential super match for me. So if me and Devin are seeing arm wrestling and he's just beating the hell out of me in practice, I'll never get paid to arm wrestle him again, you know. But Devin sat there and he arm wrestled for hours. He locked everybody up into a holding position. He held everybody there to where they couldn't move. When me and him pulled, we put on the straps and he dropped into that same position. I couldn't move him, and I couldn't roll his arm up. You know, see, he wasn't so much in a king's move. You know, his elbow to wrist was like in a king's move position, but he was standing more upright. His arm wasn't straight. And yeah, I couldn't push him off that. I mean, I couldn't push him sideways off the pad, and I couldn't roll his hand over. And I think we pulled for maybe, it seemed like a long time, but 10 to 15 seconds, you know, at a static movement seems like a long time. But no, I couldn't do anything with him that day.
Okay, I understand. And my next question would be, what is next for Toddzilla? So after, maybe if you beat Pork Chop, let's say you said you maybe have Kid Regal in January, but what's next for you? And who also would you like to pull? And if I can say, I would really love to see you against Rustam Babayev. I think it would be an amazing match with you and Rustam.
I would like Rustam Babayev and Zolov are like my white whales, man. I need to somehow figure out to slip one past the goalie on these guys. So, but at that point, that's more scrapbook, photo memories, legacy shit for me. You know, I will adapt. I will go another full year. I'm gonna change my schedule on next year, but I'm gonna fully embrace this professional arm wrestling philosophy again and put out a price list for 2023 and follow it. But it looks like I will primarily be arm wrestling in East vs. West. Engen looks like he's going to pull enough events together. He's consistently invited me over there. I like working with him. Engen's just an excellent promoter. He's a very, very easy person to work with. He gets stuff way ahead of time. He sets it up. He holds it. So I'll probably most of next year, I will pull East vs. West, and I got a couple of offers for some American matches, but they never firm up until the last 4 or 5 weeks. So I don't know, but I'm probably going to pull 7-8 times next year. again.
Good. We will see you in the Monster Factory also, hopefully.
If I get invited, I'll do that.
Okay, good. We have another super chat from the HF Razor. He's asking, weird question, but let's read it. Todd, which was your most awkward match? Pulling with what the hell feeling?
Well, in that first, this is just a weird story. This is my what the fuck happened story. So in the first year of the WAL, I had just gotten out of the UAL, and I'm at a qualifying tournament, and my first, so I had to cut. I was cutting a lot of weight back then, so I was cutting like 20 pounds. So I was cutting like 9-10 kilos the night before to make weight, and then putting it back on. And my first match was somebody I'd never heard of before, but I knew he was training with my old arm wrestling team, right? So I talked to him. They go, no, the kid's quick. It's got something like that. So I walked in. First match, there's probably 40 people in my weight class, and it's a qualifier, right? And I grab a hold of this kid, and I go, this feels all right. And he like popped outside, got on my fingers. I don't think I got pinned, but I think I elbowed. Somehow I lost. I lost to a kid that I didn't think was stronger than me, but was faster than me. And now I'm going, holy shit, I'm in the loser's bracket of the biggest tournament I've ever been in. And I lost, and I don't think he even placed. You know what I mean? It's not like I lost to the guy who eventually made top 4. I lost to somebody who I don't even think he made it to the top 10, you know? And now I'm grinding through the loser's bracket all day long, you know? And,
yeah, sometimes
I ran into him into another WAL tournament several months ago, and this time I just clamped down on him and put an end to it. But I talked to my old training partner Matt, and he said when this kid beat me, it just blew him up. Like nobody could give him advice anymore. They were saying do this today. He goes, nope, I beat Godzilla. This is what I'm doing. I'm sitting there going, oh, I can't believe I'm already in the loser's bracket.
Such a fun story. Okay.
I think that might have been the only right-handed match I lost in the WAO that year. You know, was the very first ones. I think I went undefeated the rest of that season right-handed, you know, and I probably arm wrestled 20 times, you know, 2 or 3 tournaments, 6-7 matches a tournament. Yeah, that was good. Of course, my dad's there, my brothers are there, you know, my kids are there. I got my whole family watching the first match. Like they go
and yeah, so like, who's this guy who beat you? It's like very strong, right?
I don't know who just beat me.
But he probably very proud about that victory by you, you know.
Not a lot of people can say they beat a top.
Yeah, so definitely.
So we have another super chat from Sap Davi. Did you know Sap Davi, like the guy who hates Devin?
I don't know him personally, but he does a lot of comments on my channels and Facebook. So I mean, I know the profile, but I don't know the actual person.
Okay. Nobody knows, it's a secret. So he's asking, would Todd be interested in pulling Arsen Liliev again?
Yes. And I assume if Arsen's coming back, he'll be at East First West. So we'll see what weight class he lands in.
Yeah. Right. I remember you guys pulled, but I don't remember you winning against him. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Arsen was, I could never beat him. He was so fast, and he had like this Travis Bajent style. And we were in Bulgaria, and he was just cleaning my clock. I just couldn't do nothing with him. And when you're up there and you're all caffeinated and hyped up, you can't think anyways, and your vision's all shrunk down. And he goes, you want to pull in the straps? And I go, sure. And when we got into the straps, this was another epiphany moment for me. People who are super, super fast are not quite so fast once you're in the strap because they can't move without you moving, you know. Arsen had this really good loose grip, and it's like he could start moving, like his wrist and stuff could start moving before his hand did. And he got that little bitty jump on it. But once you're strapped wrist to wrist, when they go, you go. And it changes the whole tenor of the match. So if I ever pull Arsen Liliev again, I'm walking up to the table with a strap hanging from my wrist. So that's where we're going. I'm spitting all over my hand. I mean, I am not pulling any fast people outside the straps ever again.
Yep. Okay, so we have a Chan Shaw in the chat. He's saying, "What's up, guys? What's up, Chance?" Also, we have another super chat from Z-Man. This is a bit cringe, but we have to read super chats, I guess. He's saying Prudnik false started every round. He's a cheater. So we won't comment on that.
It's only cheating if you're caught.
That is true.
It's a part of the game, guys. If Prudnik are very good on setup, somebody can call it cheating. But if judge give this possibility, guys just use this possibility. That's it.
Yeah. If you're going to be the champion, you got to beat your opponent and the refs. You got to beat 3 people to be champion. You can't just beat the one.
Yeah.
It's like Devin when he was arm wrestling Dave Shape. He's like, I'm arm wrestling Dave, I'm arm wrestling Bart Wood, the referee, everybody's against me. It's 1 against 3.
But that at that level, it's true for everywhere. You can't, if it's questionable,
the
refs can take it from you. So you got to be good enough to beat the refs and the other guy.
Okay, so for these questions, I'd like to have your opinion on the upcoming matches against Hermes versus Jerry. Of course, you've seen Gennady pull with Jerry. You are familiar with Jerry. You pulled with him before. So what do you think will happen, your predictions? And if you could go technically, what do you think would happen and so on?
If Hermes, see what Gennady did, I don't know if this is a real term, Gennady over top rolled Jerry, right? If someone's coming in for a press, they want that wrist in front of their hand to push down. When you top roll somebody, if you can hold them flat, you can stop that wrist. But if you top roll their hand all the way back, that folds. So we'll see if I'm so sorry. We'll see if Hermes learned anything from that. But power-wise, I mean, Jerry hits that move. Jerry's got world level power. Hermes is phenomenal. I don't know if I could even call an underdog in that match. That's so stylistically dependent. I can't call it.
On who you put your money?
If I just had to choose, I'd put my money on Jerry. I think only because I don't know what kind of endurance Hermes has. I don't know if I've seen Hermes in a real long match, and I've seen Jerry in nothing but long matches.
Yeah. And it will be 3 rounds. If some of them won 3-0 or 3-2, it's winner. But it will be not 6. I think maybe if it will be 6 rounds and all 6, you need to win at least 4. Maybe it will be easier for Jerry because he shows his level of endurance. And I also think if he will be very fast in this movement, goes to flat wrist. But also I think that Hermes can be faster than Jerry.
Oh, I agree. I mean, if Hermes win, I'm not surprised. If Jerry wins, I'm not surprised. If I have to pick one, I think Jerry's ability to stop it and make it a ugly match is better than Hermes' chances of making a quick and sexy, beautiful match. So I'm betting on ugly.
I see.
Yep. And some people on the chat are asking, for example, about the pain in arm wrestling, and is asking about sharp pain in the humerus in this part. What is it caused of, and what would be the remedy of it?
Who are you asking?
Of course, you are the scientist in this thing, so of course you're asking Godzilla.
Yeah. almost all of that toothache level pain is caused from you losing, primarily in practice. You're tight, somebody rips you open, that produces those slight tears in those tendons and stuff. I am telling you, you hit your JM presses, whether it's your inner elbow, your outer elbow, your upper arm, those JM presses strengthen both sides of that elbow. And especially if you vary the grip, if you do wide, medium, and narrow, you will train that whole outside of it. And eventually that pain will go away. Once you've torn those tendons, especially if you're a beginner, you got to just get used to the idea that you will probably have flare-ups for several years. It takes a long time for that to go away. But it also goes away when you stop getting beat in practice all the time. For you guys with teams, stop beating up the new people. Pinning a beginner does not help you, and it makes life hell for the beginner. Do not pin and beat up your beginners. Hold them at center, and then when the match is over, ease up slowly. This full blast releasing stuff is what's hurting all these young people's elbows. But hit your JM presses, hit them volume, vary the grip, and if you want to step it up and make it advanced, hang some weight so they swing on that bar. That will develop your whole upper, and that'll develop both sides of your elbow, and you will be amazed at how little pain you have, no matter how often you arm wrestle. Mm-hmm. Table time is terrible for developing your elbow pain. It just is. When you start getting tired, you start losing more, you end up with that soreness. You need your table time to practice your timing, practice your skills, get that stuff down. I do not count table time as training, and it does not replace a gym day. Too many people say, well, I practice on Wednesdays, so I'm skipping max effort day. I go, no, you're not. you are definitely not skipping max effort day. I don't care when you practice. You practice 2 days a week, you practice 1 day a week. I don't care. You still have to do max effort day.
Okay, so we have another super chat from Jordan Rao. It's for you, Alex. So he's asking, Alex, same question to you. You are one of the guys who beat Hermes 6-0. Can you tell us technically, how do you see Jerry versus Hermes?
Okay, so like with Hermes, I pulled and we actually have a practice. I know the difference between Hermes, like he pulled in the practice and also in the competition. With Jerry, it's only what I can read by the match with Gennady. A lot of guys also try to analyze that match and to predict how good is Jerry on his moment and where it will be effective or maybe a little bit less effective. With Hermes, I think it will be absolutely different style than with Gennady, because a lot of us actually thinking that Gennady even wants to go to the hook, but he don't go to the hook. Actually, one round Jerry won very fastly. It was almost hook, yeah. And of course, Jerry will be using all the positions when he goes by shoulder in the near to center of the table, and it will be a lot about the setup, guys. I think it will be a lot about setup. It will be the rules, not the WAF, and I think that rules will be help to Jerry. I'm not sure that it will be like WAL, but of course the difference are, and what I watched during the East of the West, that rules are more like good for Jerry and not so good for Hermes. If Hermes will be prepared very good, and if he will be very, very fast and don't try just to open the wrist, but to control wrist and hold it in the good position and go into the press or maybe even triceps with good positional game of full body and chest and shoulders, it can be also good for him. But Jerry also knows his weaknesses and his strengths, so Jerry will be trying to not give any possibility of this. Mm-hmm. And if Jerry goes deeply and goes also by shoulder, it will be very troubles. It can make the troubles for Hermes. So for now, I will put, like Todd say, 50-50. If you ask me about who is the favorite, it's up to really who prepared very good game plan and very good shape according to this game plan. It can be one-sided match and one-sided match for other story. But if it will be a long match, it will be easier for Jerry. So Jerry is interested in long-term match, like where his endurance will help him, and he will pull by full body and just lift by hammer power. It's absolutely different story. So I know that Hermes know it now, and he will be prepared his best shape for this match, because it's also open big possibilities for Hermes next, because now both guys are ranked very high, and it's a very important match for both of them. So yeah. I definitely predict that it will be interesting match. And how it will be, I have no favorite in this game.
I understand. But if I were to ask you the same question you asked Godzilla, who would you put your money on?
Probably I will put for both, honestly. Because when you're not sure, and now I will say you the truth. If you ask me the day before the fight, and I look at the eyes of Hermes, how he looks, how he prepared, and look the same to Jerry, it will be very easy for me, even if I will be wrong, but it will be very easy for me to make a bet if I need. But for today, it's also all about the preparation. So now I think both of guys in the preparation, and like sometime like 1 week before or 3 days before the fight, it will be easier to predict what we can expect. For now, we can expect a huge training camp of both of them, and they do a good preparation, some strategic for winning.
I'm so excited about that match. I can't wait. Oh my God. Toddzilla, we have a super chat for you. I think it will be the last, because I know that you have to go. It's 1 hour of your time, so we said before. What is Todd's background in strength in his 20s and early 30s?
0.
Perfect.
I wrestled in high school for 3 years. Then I became an engineer, and I pretty much just did hunting, camping, and hiking stuff until shortly after I was married and had a kid. My wife joined a gym to get back into shape, and it wasn't even a really good gym. It was just a gym, and I joined it trying to get back into shape. And then I realized what taking 20 years off from training will do to a person, And so I did nothing from 18 until probably 33, 34. And then I was doing some sort of halfway bodybuilding workout thing until I went to that first arm wrestling tournament. And then that spiked the whole. My first arm wrestling tournament, I got slaughtered, actually absolutely devastated in the 220-pound weight class. The next year, when I moved to South Carolina, our second or third ranked 176-pounder destroyed the 220-pounder who beat me in my tournament. That's when I realized there was a whole level to this, and then I started studying it. So my strength training and expertise started when I was 35 years old. So I got zero background prior to that.
Okay, I understand. So Todd, thank you so much for giving us your precious time. I invite everybody in the chat to go to his channel, go follow him and see the videos, because they are really good, amazing gold nuggets where you can get and implement in your training and in your arm wrestling. So Todd, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I hope we can do it again in the future. And personally, I wish you all
invite me back. I love you guys, man. This was fun.
Yeah. So I wish you.
Yeah, I want to also thanks from myself and from all the guys who watch it. I know they feel the energy, the people loves you, and actually you give a lot of very cool information, which is very important, because when you try to find something somewhere, it's not so easily. And you know, also the guys who watching you in the future, they probably will be like our superstars or champs, and they like enjoyed all the roads when you help them. So it's very, very useful. So thank you so much.
Hope so. Yeah, a lot of people helped me when I didn't know anything, so I hope I can help somebody.
Absolutely, you sure did.
All right, guys, thank you.
All right, Todd, thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.